We're looking forward to getting back home in front of our fans. They've been tremendous all year, so it'll be great to get back and have a home game. Always a lot to learn from the last game, so we're going to have to do that as we proceed forward. And without question, we need to have a good week of practice. We've got a talented football team coming off 2 wins that's always had a lot of talent. They got great size. They look the part. They got really good players. I think they've simplified some things in their plan, and they're playing good football. So we're going to have to practice well, be really hungry this week to improve, and come ready to play.
A couple things from Saturday's game. Just the how significant was Cam Allen's block of the PAT, and how did that affect strategy on your end at the end of the game, and how do you feel like it potentially impacted what Maryland wanted to do at the end of the game as well?
Well, it was huge. Anytime you can block an extra point, it's huge. As we looked at the video and had the big screen on it, he was not offsides from our vantage point. Did he move a little bit before the others? Yes, but he was not offsides when the ball snapped. And on the 2-point play, their lineman was 6 yards down the field. So 2 good calls, in our opinion, that luckily were called. But block extra point's huge when you block a kick, especially when the game's tight. It gave us the ability to come down and score, take the lead, put us in an advantageous position. And then, of course, being able to score again, gave us what we thought was a little leeway. They came back and scored, so unfortunately, it didn't work out exactly the way we wanted. But, really good job by Cam, and anytime you can block an extra point and do anything that gives you an advantage, it helps.
They threw a flag on that, not for the offsides, but they threw a flag for something else. What was the flag for?
On the
extra point that was blocked.
Oh, that was for when we recovered the onside kick. I guess we tossed the ball illegally forward. So that was illegal, that part.
Daniel Johnson didn't play Saturday. What's his status, long-term, short-term?
He'll be out for the season. Unfortunately, it's just for a knee injury, and he'll be out for the season.
And as you look at the offensive line on film, how did they hold up? What'd you see? And is this kind of the 6 that you need to go moving forward now?
Well, we got to continue to develop the others. At some point, it'll probably be less than the 6 guys that are playing. So we've got to get the other ones ready to go just in case. We were able to rotate a little more in those positions that gave guys more responsibilities. I thought we played hard. Wasn't one of our better games, but you know what? A couple of the sacks were coverage sacks. A couple of the sacks were a tight end. A couple of the sacks were the quarterback holding it too long. Those and their defensive line, especially the 1-3 technique, was even a little better than we thought, and it was pretty stout and got off blocks when we thought we might have a hole running. They got off the blocks at the last minute, so I give them credit. They did a good job, and we just got to work through it. But I thought our offensive line played hard, and we just got to correct any of the mistakes we had.
Do you look at? I mean, you're always trying to develop guys, but are there some of the younger guys that are closer that could help you in the second half of the year?
Well, those guys are getting closer. They're not up to the capabilities of our first 6, but they're getting closer, and at some point they'll have to go in. But we're not going to, probably dip down into that unless we have to. And we're getting close. We've got guys nicked up quite a bit. Gus is playing through some injuries, and he's just a tough son of a gun. And some others that have been nicked up. Charlie's been nicked up, haven't been able to practice much. So I give these guys a lot of credit. We have some tough guys on the team that are not able to practice as much, which I think it has hurt us a little bit. But we have to get them to the game. But yes, those linemen are going to play before the end of the year for sure.
I think you saw the lift that Jalen Graham gave the defense, but when you went back and looked at it, just where did he really make his plays, and where did he stand out on Saturday?
Well, he's a veteran presence that I think will continue to get better. I did think the first couple of series he was rusty and he had some bust, but then he kind of settled in, and he makes tackles, he makes plays. He's an athletic guy who understands football, and I thought the more he played, the better he got, and we're hopeful he can continue to build on that. We need him to be a dominating force if he can.
Nebraska brings in a pretty good running back, Anthony Grant. What kind of style do you see from him, and what kind of challenge will it be to kind of keep him under wraps?
Well, I think they got a good combination of running back and big tight ends, some athletic receivers, and a quarterback that can move around and make plays, and that always presents some issues. So stopping the run's always a priority. We got to do the best job we can, have the perfect balance, and make sure that we're playing the pass some as well. We can't just commit a bunch of guys in there and isolate our corners all the time. So once again, it has to be a perfect balance. We did some really good things in the game on defense at times, and there's some other times where gave up a couple of easy things way too easy. So if we can kind of just fine-tune that and make sure we're getting better. But I think our defensive line has been able to play hard and has been the backbone up front. Where not necessarily has been one guy, it's just a bunch of guys playing hard, and we're able to rotate and keep them fresh, and we got to continue to build on making plays there.
Is it any different facing an interim coach as opposed to a guy that's been there for a year or two or three? Because as you know, you got two of them in the next 2 weeks.
Not really. It's the same football team, the talented football team. They got pride. They play hard. What you do when that happens is you just got to see the adjustments they make schematically on offense, defense, and special teams. So that's kind of what we're looking at now, is just seeing what adjustments have they made from that point on and getting prepared for that.
How deep in your playbook, or how many passing plays to the fullback do you have in your playbook?
Well, probably more than you think. The amount of passing plays hasn't been a problem. But you know what, situationally, when you get a little better running the ball, you're able to mix in some play action. We were in a two-back set, 5 to 6 times throughout the game running the football. So that definitely helps on a short yardage situation, be able to slide them in the flat. But it was, really good job by Ben, slipping in the flat. Good job by Devin, blocking on the edge, and a good accurate throw that really helped key a drive to work us down the field for a touchdown. So every little thing matters. Would you like to utilize the running backs more in the passing game? Well, we threw to him quite a bit on some swings and some things like that. I think we had one drop on a play action. But, yeah, for sure we do. I know Austin's very comfortable throwing to those guys. Aiden's always looking up the field to throw first. But, this team had a couple good corners, especially one that really did a really good job. At some points, they were dropping 8 or 9 guys in the coverage. You have to be able to throw those guys behind the line of scrimmage or underneath and get some yards if you're not going to hand it off to them.
Can you speak, Jeff, to the resiliency of the team? The last 2 games, 6 combined turnovers, and the defense has only given up 3 points. Just to talk about just what the defense has meant as far as being able to respond to those sudden changes and keep teams out off the scoreboard.
Well, we felt going in we had some experience on the defense side of the ball, so I thought they've done a good job. In order to win football games, you got to be good in all 3 segments. To think you're just going to score every time you touch the ball is not realistic. That's not going to happen against good opponents. So that's a pipe dream. Now we're going to work for perfection and try to be as efficient as we can. Now what we can do is be much better at not turning the ball over. When you have 3 turnovers in 2 games, you find a way to win. That shows the toughness and grit of your team. But we got to improve upon that. We've talked about it. We've identified it. It's one thing to get stopped. It's one thing to stop yourselves by turning the ball over. So that has to become a minimum of what's going on. We've gotten a little bit better on the penalties. That's helped. But our defense has played hard, and we've done a good job. And continuing to be as efficient as we can on both sides, and also gaining an edge in special teams, which we've slightly gained an edge in each and every game. We had the field goal that was really good. They missed a long field goal. We blocked an extra point. We had a little bit in return yards. So I mean, just every little thing matters in order to win. And as you can see from our games, we have 3 wins against FBS teams, and it's been by the hair of our teeth. And we've had to scratch and claw to get all those. So that's just how it's going to be, and we got to be willing to, work for perfection and better execution. But you got to have the grit and toughness to just be able to hang in there to the very end.
This looks like it's one of the best run defenses Purdue's had probably 20 years. I mean, no 100-yard rusher yet. Fewest runs of over 20 yards and 10 yards. Under 100 yards a game average. I mean, why are you guys just so good against stopping the run?
Well, we work hard at it. We've done a good job. At the same time, I'm realistic. Maryland's not a running team. Minnesota didn't have their running back. We've got a lot of really good teams coming up that run the ball, so we'll see how good we are. But, our D-line has played hard. We have changed some things up and been a little more multiple in our fronts and looks. Linebackers and safeties coming downhill and making tackles is important, and having just that perfect balance. Now, we've always tried to err on trying to stop the run, and I think we've been fairly decent at that. We've probably given up more pass yardage over the last so many years than I would like to, so you got to balance that, and really it's just about minimizing points. So, yes, first thing is stopping the run, but minimizing points and big plays is also important.
You think Aiden's back to being Aiden? You feel confident that this is the quarterback that you began the year with from a physical standpoint?
Well, I think he's feeling much better. It's hard. The last half of the season last year, he played at an elite level and was just really on fire and doing some great things. Teams are gonna adjust and play to the things that we do well. We have to make adjustments. He's going to have to continue to try to be efficient, but yet know that, occasionally they're going to drop 8 guys in coverage. Occasionally, a couple times they dropped 9. So, finding the outlet, stepping up and running occasionally is important. There was a couple times I thought he was a little hesitant when we had open guys, that he's got to just have the perfect balance of, we don't want interceptions, but we got to be able to take the one-on-one matchup and be aggressive when we take it. But it's going to be different every game, and teams are going to know and study us, and he's just going to have to play as efficient as he can. And that's the hard part of being a quarterback, is every game's going to be different. And while we'd love to be perfect in our decisions and throws, you've got to be efficient and take what the defense gives you and move the chains, get first downs, and get points.
I don't know if you can do it in real time, Jeff, but just how you came up with the philosophy, how you're going to handle that end-of-game situation last Saturday when you're on the shadow of the goal line. I mean, you're talking to people. Is that a scenario you run over in your head weeks in the preseason? Just how do you handle something like that? Because you get it on 2 or 3 different things.
Well, every situation's always slightly different. I'm not a big analytical guy. I go by feel and what I think is going to work. I don't go by percentages. At that point, with where we were at, I just knew if I was on the other sideline, I would let the team score to get the ball back. And I knew that's what they were doing. So we wanted to use some clock. We knew they had timeouts, so you had to use the timeouts first. So, we ran the quarterback sneak, told our quarterback not to go in the end zone, but to not go backwards. Then we did it again on second down. Go forward but not backwards. Don't go in the end zone. Let's burn some more clock. Now, we didn't burn as much clock because they used their timeouts, but we were able to use their timeouts. Then on third down, you just kind of have to think, okay, if we try to risk this again on fourth down, you're going to have a decision of, do you kick a field goal or do you try to go for it? And now if you get stopped.
What's your thought process there? Is that kick in? Do you have a sheet of 20 plays set for overtime every week?
Well, we were getting our plays ready for the 2-point play after we scored because I knew there was a chance they could score, and we had to have that 2-point play ready on defense first. So that was the first thing that we wanted to do, and unfortunately they did go down and score. I thought we had a call that worked on the first 2-point play. They had a shuffle pass along with a perimeter throw. Since they didn't throw the shuffle pass, that meant their lineman was downfield. He extended the play on the perimeter throw. Jalen was guarding his guy. We'd have everyone covered. I think Jalen must have thought he was going to run in the end zone. He abandoned his guy, left him open, and then that allowed for the open completion. Looking at it, he was going to get tackled and not scored, so Jalen should have just stayed on his guy, and then the play was over then. But I don't blame him. He felt that he needed to go make the tackle. Looking at it, he would have been tackled without going there. So luckily they were downfield. The second one was really the same call. Thought we had things guarded pretty well. He tried to buy time and scramble, and we did a good job covering. So that was the most important. As far as overtime plays, we always have a set selection ready to go, and really it's just about, your red zone plays from the 25-yard line going in, and how can you get in the end zone and get touchdowns.
We've had 2 head coaches let go in the Big Ten West. This weekend we have a coordinator let go and an offensive line coach. Where do you stand on making in-season staff coaching changes?
Well, luckily those calls aren't mine. Of course, as a coach, I know how hard it is to win and how hard it is to work your tail off to get it done. So I feel for all coaches, I think they're all working hard. And so from a coaching standpoint, you'd like for people to wait to after the season to make decisions, but that's not today's world. So you just got to keep your head down and grind and understand that winning is important, and putting in the time to get it done is important. That's why I talk about, unfortunately, hobbies aren't as common nowadays, at least for me, because in the off season you want to make sure you study, you find answers to problems that are going to come up. You make sure you're prepared as you can. It's so competitive now in college football. It's not just about the players. The head coach has to coach. Their position coaches have to have a plan. You have to have answers. You have to put your players in the best position to succeed. You got to be able to practice hard. You got to be able to have those guys get up every week no matter what the situation is and not get down on themselves. So that's why it's always a one-game season here, because we just want to cut it loose as hard as we can for one game, because that's all we can control. So just a lot of things that go into it, but you always hope for the best for everybody.
Yeah, I guess just Payne Durham lastly, Jeff, was that his best game of the year? Talk about how you thought he handled himself when you celebrated.
Well, he definitely is a tremendous leader for our team and wants to win. Gives us great effort. We ask him to do a lot. For the tight end to play that many plays when you got to be physical and block and catch balls, we'd like to give him more of a spell and more of a break. And not have to use him so much. And he's battled through some injuries as well. So he's played hard. And you know what? The first half, he played okay. And he had a couple busts here and there, a couple things blocking-wise. We'd like him to do better, but at the same time, we're asking him to do a lot. He's got to be able to block defensive ends and be physical and then get open and make catches. But second half, he came alive. He made really good plays. He played hard. When they're trying to take away the outside receivers, you got to work the middle of the field, and he does a good job of not having fear. And he got open underneath, and Aiden was comfortable, and he made some good catches. Some of those weren't easy catches. He'd like to throw a little more accurate ball, but he made really hard catches, and he's got sure hands, and he's just a really reliable leader for us.
Anything else for Coach? All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.